So, ladies and germs, welcome back. You are on the fringe with Gavin and me, Dave. We're going to be slicing and dicing, and we're going to be cutting up what's going on with Alice Guo, everybody's favorite runaway who was brought home. She didn't want to go back, but she ended up having to go back because the Indonesians didn't want her around anymore. So Alice has been brought back to the Philippines, and she went before the Philippine Senate, and she was really, really grilled by them. And Alice basically told them that she had had a local doppelganger fill in her official documents and get them notarized to help her get a Filipino passport. So this is really, really big news where Alice is now saying that, well, there was somebody else that was helping me with this. And it's not just me. There's a bigger organized crime network going on within the Philippines, probably within the Philippine government, probably with, Chinese triads and other criminal organizations that were facilitating this and that were helping Alice actually get into power, becoming the mayor of Banban or Banban. I don't know, still don't know how to pronounce it. Somebody please help me figure out the pronunciation for that word and basically get her to where she is.
Yeah, and this is surprising to who, Dave?
So this is surprising. I don't know. Anybody out there, raise your hand if you're surprised by this.
I was thinking of my good friend, Mr. Absolutely No One. This is just par for the course. I don't think at this juncture anyone is horribly shocked, though I would imagine many people are a little dismayed, Dave. A lot of people in the Filipino government, particularly, who might not want to accept the fact that Alice getting away with what she got away with for such a long time largely had to do with a great deal of what can only be described as governmental laxity. Laxity, not laxative, laxity.
I was going to say the same thing.
Oh, great minds think alike.
Think alike.
Famously, Mozart was very scatological in his sense of humor. So I pull that fun fact out every time I make a poop joke, which is a lot.
Every 5 minutes in class, and that's why your students love you so much.
Well, God, I hope not. Anyways, so yes, this is a situation. What I think is interesting and is noteworthy is the fact that she did confess, which is not something that she had previously done. Before we got in the cock and bull story about the pig farm, we got in the whole thing about growing up. I didn't know who my parents were, sort of like some South Sea Cinderella. And now she's finally admitted, yes, there was fraud. Yes, there was some kind of malfeasance, but of course it wasn't me, it was someone else. Now, I would imagine, on a serious note, this is making a lot of people in Manila uncomfortable. This was going to be sort of a great moment of triumph. They finally got the girl. They finally got this fugitive. She's back. She's going to face the full might of the Filipino legal system. And now the problem is she's probably going to start naming names. And I think this fuels speculation that she may have not been the only person involved paying that $3.5 million bribe to customs officials that got her out of jail in the first place. So this is a developing situation. This is an interesting situation. This is a situation that will no doubt implicate people in the Philippines at a sensitive time in Filipino politics. And we will be bringing you up to speed every week on the Alice Guo situation. Isn't that right, Dave?
Yep, we definitely will. And two more things. So first, the biggest charge that I've seen was money laundering charges. So in my opinion, they're going after her. They're going to charge her with money laundering. Yes, she's probably going to spend some time in prison. There was another money laundering charge from a casino or a bank manager that helped the North Koreans launder a lot of money that was stolen from the Bangladeshi Central Bank back in 2015 or 2016. She's currently still in prison, but this is probably going to be something very similar where they're going to have a show trial of Alice Guo. They're going to lock her up. They're going to put her in for laundering money, and the actual situation is probably not going to get changed. Where, okay, they're going to make an example of her. They're going to go, yes, we got her. We threw her in prison. We charged her with money laundering, but this is probably not going to be able to get cleaned up because it's a much bigger mess probably than anybody wants to admit. And trying to clean this up is probably going to be something equal to political suicide, especially at this time between what's going on in the Philippines and their neighbors in Southeast Asia.
Also, just before we move on, I just want to quickly say, brief. I always hate to say thoughts and prayers, but definitely, it goes out to the people in Southeast Asia, people in the Philippines, people in China, people in Vietnam, Thailand, Myanmar, who are coping with the aftermath of Typhoon Yagi, which slammed through about a week and a half ago, and it's basically just petered out in the Bay of Bengal, but slammed through the Philippines, slammed through Vietnam, Thailand, really hit Myanmar very hard. The Burmese government reached out for foreign aid, which it doesn't do. That's just not something that the Burmese government does. And in the Philippines, it particularly had a very bad impact. They're estimating the damage is already over $60 million. Lots of people dead, lots of people missing. And it's worth noting at this time, this is a part of the world that is very affected by these weather events. And in the midst of all this almost pageantry, in the case of Alice Guo, let's not forget that, taking money away from infrastructure projects, laundering money, that has very real life consequences when that money doesn't go to people who need it.
Mm-hmm. Especially at a time like this when these people are going to need all of the assistance and the help that they need.
Exactly.
So definite thoughts and prayers with the Filipinos and everybody else in Southeast Asia that got hammered by this typhoon. Was this as bad as, was it Typhoon Haiyan that hit, I think it was 2013. It was a category 5 and it did a ton of damage down there.
I'm not sure. I remember when I was but a lad, doing typhoon recovery work for Habitat for Humanity in the Philippines. And that was obviously before Haiyan.
Yeah, it was back in the day.
That was
way back.
Way back. We go way back here on this podcast. Trying to look at a death toll. I don't think it was as bad. No, Haiyan was way worse. That killed over 6,300 people. Not even close. But again, this is a part of the world that has to deal with these things on a regular basis. And I don't think people in quote unquote Western countries always remember that this is a fairly regular occurrence and a pretty devastating one, even when it's not on the level of Haiyan.
Yep. Most definitely. Plus, you've got earthquakes and you've got a bunch of other stuff going on too, volcanoes, and it really is a pretty volatile. It's a volatile neighborhood.
Anyways, on that note, thank you for slicing, dicing, and chopping it up with us as we talked about Alice Guo. We talked about the Philippines, and we will get back to you soon. Isn't that right, Dave?
We will. We'll be back. Thanks for joining us on The Fringe, and we'll catch you guys later.